Good morning. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Mixed Level Yoga. So make sure that you have your blocks, any props that you may want to use as well nearby. So we're going to continue with the theme of pattern as we're walking closer to Thanksgiving and all these holiday traditions. I found this interesting article on Mind Owl. It's called The Power of Pause. Breaking free from reactive thought patterns. And it gives a list of 6 things that can help. And I thought that with each item, I would plug in something from the Yoga Sutras, particularly one of the as it relates to that tip. So the first one is to become aware of when we're in the grip of reactive thoughts. You can start to feel when we're becoming reactive, and not to engage with these thoughts. This idea that we're not our thoughts and that we can, if we choose, merely observe them is what Buddhist philosophy calls being the witness. Now in yoga, this is part of the second limb of the 8 limbs of yoga, and it's self-study, or in Sanskrit, svadhyaya. The second tip is to rewire the brain through meditation. Surprise. A study by Horan in 2009 suggested that meditation helps to erode habitual thought patterns by allowing the brain to enter into a deep state of delta silence, in which the brain cells reorganize themselves and create new neuronal connections known as neuroplasticity, which are vital to the insight and incubation phases of creativity. During these phases are when new ideas and inspirations are able to surface. This is also the 7th limb of yoga, meditation, known as dhyana. The third tip, remind ourselves to breathe slowly and more deeply and from our diaphragms instead of just from our chest. And this is, though it sounds so simple, it's easy to go on autopilot with our breathing, especially if we're starting to get angry. The breath has a certain pattern related to anger or other emotions. And when we can take control of that breath, as you know, when we're practicing physical yoga, it can have a profound effect on being able to slow down our thoughts, and more than any other technique. So this is actually the 4th limb of yoga, breathing techniques, or pranayama. The 4th tip, it says that our culture has conditioned us to believe that any kind of delay or obstruction between ourselves and the things we want is undesirable and wastes our time. So fast as we are in the society. However, feeling resistant to what is happening in the present creates unnecessary stress. Buddhist philosophy suggests that while we are waiting, we experience the pain of expectation. And this familiar pain can be eased by subtly altering our mindsets, by concentrating instead on the present moment. For example, by focusing on the things we can see and hear around us while we're waiting in that long Trader Joe's line, shopping for Thanksgiving, instead of thinking, oh God, when am I going to get to the front? And this practice is related to the 2nd limb of yoga, santosha, or contentment. The 5th tip is, for at least a portion of each day, try disconnecting from technology after Zoom yoga. And this can help us cultivate a calmer and clearer state of mind, preventing us from feeling on call all the time, like, oh God, I gotta check my social media, my email, my text. And this is part of the practice of tuning inward, which is actually the 5th limb of yoga, pratyahara. And then the 6th tip is to do things in a slower, more focused way. This takes discipline, or tapas, which is in the 2nd limb of yoga, as well as concentration, or dharana, which is the 6th limb of yoga. So interesting, these can seem like common sense advice, but when we're caught in the turbulence of reactivity, common sense can go on the wayside, emotionally charged, like we're on this autopilot. Practice of yoga is to get out of autopilot. Become aware of what's here now, alive in me, alive in you. So let's do that as we sit more comfortably and upright, inviting space throughout the spine, groundedness down through the pelvis and legs. Noticing the way that you're breathing without trying to deepen it just yet. Just observe how it is right now. Anything else present to be acknowledged within your mind, your heart, or your body? Let's begin with Durga pranayama, or 3-part breath, to really get into the fullness of the inhalations. So empty this breath completely, hold it out. And into your belly, inhale just 1/3. Pause. Into your side ribs, inhale another 1/3. Pause. Into your chest, inhale the last 1/3. As you hold your breath in, feel space in your body. Then slowly exhale, whether through your nose or your mouth, all the way out. Hold it at the end. Again, into your belly, inhale 1/3. Into your side ribs, inhale 1/3. Into your chest, inhale the last 1/3. Hold your breath in, paying attention. And completely let it go. Hold it out. This time, let's take a deep inhalation all the way through the belly, side ribs, inviting the fullness of your breath using your diaphragm. Pause for a few seconds at the top. Then slowly and completely let it go. Pause for a few seconds at the bottom. I invite you to do that consciously twice more. When you finish the second round of holding your breath out, just take a moment to observe perhaps any subtle shift in your mind or energy. Continuing to take deep breaths and balancing the in with the out. Now closing your lips, let's build some warmth using Ujjayi pranayama, victorious breath, by also gently constricting the back of your throat. Using a soft whispering sound to help your mind to focus on what's present. As you softly open your eyes, bring your left fingertips to the ground just beside your left hip and raise your right arm. Wrapping the tricep forward and pressing your 2 shoulders, 2 hips down. Breathe length up to your crown. Exhaling, begin a side bend to your left. I'm mirroring you. While firming down a little more through your right sitting bone. With your inhalations, pause where you are and lift the spine a bit more from side. Seal inward towards your back. Taking one deep inhalation before you exhale to rise. Place your right fingertips on the ground beside your right hip. Raise your left arm. Wrap the tricep forward. Press your shoulders and hips down. Lift up through your crown. Breathe in. And then exhale, side bend to your right. From your left sitting bone even more. And inhale to lift your spine from your pelvis. Exhale, perhaps side bend further. Again, let your front ribs seal inward in support of your back. Take another deep breath. And as you breathe out, slowly rise up. Let's take the left leg and extend it forward. Flexing your left foot, splay open your right thigh to bring the sole of your right foot to hug your inner left thigh. Now you could have a strap here. We're gonna add a bit of a twist to this. So as you step the ball of your left foot into the loop or center of the strap, hold the strap in your right hand. And if you're not using a strap, you can press the back of your right hand against your outer left leg. Left fingertips to the floor outside your left hip. Round your pelvis, lift your spine as you breathe in, and then turn your rib cage so your chest turns to face the left upper corner of your room and begin to fold. Set your right sitting bone a little heavier towards the ground and lengthen your sternum, the middle of your chest, towards the upper left corner of the room, folding further. Let your belly feel alive here. Rather than resting on your left thigh, you can lift it up to hug your back in support. Feel the depth of your inhalation as we practice at the start. Feel the smooth flow of your exhalation in balance. With your next in-breath, lead with your sternum to slowly rise. If you have a strap, let's bring it to the ball of your right foot, flexing your right foot either way as you extend that leg forward. Bring the sole of your left foot high on your inner right thigh. Either hold the strap with your left hand or press the back of your left hand against your outer right leg. Right fingertips on the ground outside your hip, all as you breathe in. And then turn your rib cage, twisting at your waist to face the upper right corner of your room as you start to bow. Feel the open space through all the sides of your neck, especially at your throat. Feel the counterbalance of rooting your left sitting bone deeper towards the ground as you lengthen forward. Belly slightly lifted. On your next inhalation, lead with your chest and inhale to slowly rise. Put the strap aside. Come on down to your hands and knees. And take a few rounds of cat-cow with any variations of your hands that you like. If you want to give your wrists a stretch, you could spin out your hands. If you want to strengthen your wrists, you could crawl up high onto your fingertips, hollow the center of your palms. Use the inhalations to glide forward, then coil your chest up into cow pose. Use your exhalations to contract your belly, hollowing it as you round into cat pose. Several more times. Notice when you lift your chest into cow pose, try not to let the belly just become lax and sink down, but instead slightly firm your belly and think of lengthening your lower back so that the arch is created by the contraction of your upper middle back right underneath your shoulder blades, just like cobra pose. And when you feel ready, palms flat on the floor, index fingers parallel as they face forward. Tuck your toes and lift your hips into downward facing dog. separate your feet a little wider than hips distance when you do arrive. Ground to your palms and let your shoulders rise back, dropping your skull. Now in downward dog, bend your right knee generously. Pivot both feet to face the left edge of your mat. Spinning your left heel down, pause, and draw your left hip towards your rear wall as you drop your skull. Maybe look under your left armpit. A little bit of a spinal twist here and a side stretch. As you bend both knees, return to center, parallel your feet. Keep your left knee generously bent. And as you straighten your right leg, pivot your toes to face the right edge of your mat, dropping your right heel flat. Send your right hip towards your rear wall. Look under your right armpit, spiraling your torso. Deep breaths. Returning to center. Any other shifting around that feels good to you, feel free, or hold still. Let your triceps rotate slightly towards the floor to help broaden across the tops of your shoulders. And as you lift your sitting bones as high as possible, perhaps with bent knees, firm your belly in and press the very top of the fronts of your thighs towards your rear wall, sinking your heels heavily towards the ground. Now let's hold still for 3 more breaths. Steady your gaze, your drishti, on one spot towards your feet. With your next exhalation, walk your hands back to your feet, folding over your legs at the rear of your mat. Bend your knees any amount that it offers your spine full length and relaxation, especially at your neck. Press your fingertips on the ground ahead or your legs, shifting more weight towards the balls of your feet than your heels. Engage the front muscles of your thighs, engage your abdomen. And as you press with your fingertips, help to traction your spine as you inhale to lengthen it forward, parallel to the ground. Let's pause for a few breaths. To have at least a little bend in your knees, as you seal your front ribs in towards your back body and lengthen your sternum towards the front edge of your mat, drawing your shoulder blades onto your back ribs. Breath by breath, feel lengthening in your outer sides of your torso, left and right. As you exhale, fold down. From down with your feet, inhale, sweep your arms, leading with your chest as you rise tall to stand. Let your palms touch as you gaze up. Then exhale, marry them at your heart. Inhale, circle the space around you. Feel lightness in your chest, relaxation in your shoulders. Exhale, hinge forward, bowing in Uttanasana. Press with your fingertips. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Crawl your hands forward and let's meet in plank pose, top of a push-up, for 3 to 5 breaths. Whether you lower your knees and offer more support or you straighten your legs and actively firm your heels back. Stack your shoulders right over your wrists and look on the ground ahead of your hands. Lift your lower belly. Modified vinyasa. First, lower your knees, glide forward, then lower your chin. Next, slide your belly, pelvis, and legs onto the floor. Cobra pose. With your wrists alongside your floating ribs, bend your elbows close to your sides and firm down to the tops of your feet as you contract your back right under your shoulder blades to broaden and lift your chest. With an exhale, press the floor away. Tuck your toes, lift your hips back. Downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, step to the front of your mat, forward fold. Press the ground of your legs. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, fold in. Come down to your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms, rising up high. Arms overhead in Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale your hands down in Tadasana Mountain. Sun salutation A. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, dive in, heart leading. Inhale, lift your heart, gaze forward. Carefully step into your version of plank. Whether you take modified vinyasa again, or this one, chaturanga, glide forward. Bend your elbows 90 degrees close to your sides, and either lower all the way down for cobra again, or flip your toes into upward facing dog. Let's meet in downward facing dog for 3 to 5 breaths. Now bring your feet together to touch. Inhale, raise your right leg behind you. As you exhale, bend your right knee and turn out your right thigh at the hip. As you inhale, draw your left outer hip further back, lengthen both sides of your torso. And as you exhale, softly land your right foot outside of your right hand, close to the right edge of your mat. Set your left knee down, and either have your hands on blocks or the floor here. We're gonna add some movement. As your right knee and toes continue to face forward, untuck your back toes and gently scissor your right outer hip back to keep your 2 frontal hip bones evenly facing forward. As you take a deep breath, broaden your chest forward. As you exhale, start to curl up your right toes, flexing your foot, and straighten your right leg, whatever degree you can bow inside of it without rounding your back. Plug your right thigh bone deeper into the hip socket. Let's turn this into a flow as you rebend your right knee. Seal the sole of your right foot down. Inhale. Curl your right toes up and exhale, straighten your right leg back, folding forward as you open your chest. Keep going. Inhale, bend the right knee. Exhale, straighten your right leg and bow. Last round. Returning to lizard lunge. Bring your right foot inside of your right hand, so now your legs are your hips width apart. Imagine that you're dragging your right heel towards the rear of your mat without visibly moving it. Use that firm foundation as you press your hands on the very top of your right thigh to lift the front of your pelvis and restack each vertebra of your spine vertically. Draw your shoulder heads behind your ears, pressing them down as you begin to lift your chest. Maybe lift your arms, perhaps seal your palms. 3 more breaths. Anjaneyasana. As you lower your 2 hands alongside your right leg, grab your blocks if you found them useful. You might find them useful now. And tuck your left toes. Come up to a high lunge, lifting your back knee. Plant your hands or blocks 1 foot ahead of your right toes, preparing for a modified supported warrior 3. Keep your right knee bent and drag your left toes forward, flexing your left foot. Lift the heel to the height of your 2 balanced hips. Lift your navel towards your spine, broaden your chest, look on the ground ahead of your hands and take a deep breath. Shiva squat. As you exhale, bending both knees, cross your left leg behind your right leg and imagine as though you're about to sit down to prepare for spinal twist. Don't actually sit, but instead inhale, re-straighten your left leg, spine forward, modified warrior 3. Exhale, Shiva squat. Curl the left knee behind the right. Inhale, lengthen, warrior 3. Exhale, Shiva squat. We're giving our glutes some love here. Inhale, warrior 3. Exhale, Shiva squat. This time, inhale, warrior 3. Walk your hands alongside your right ankle and step your left foot all the way to the rear of your mat, spinning your left heel down, warrior two. Align your right heel to intersect the arch of your left foot and cartwheel your arms to rise up to stand. Wrapping your right outer hip slightly under your body, bend your right knee just over the ankle, pointing knee and middle toe down the center line of your mat, forward. Firm the top of your left thigh bone back towards the right edge of your mat and feel your spine tall and centered between your feet. Relax your shoulders down, but lift your heart and steady your gaze just past your right hand. From down through both of your feet, straighten your right leg, reverse triangle, flip your right palm and face up, lift both sides of your torso, then lean laterally towards your rear wall, sweeping your right arm overhead, gently landing left hand on left leg. Take a deep inhale into your right side body, then lower your two hands to plank pose, taking it all the way down through your vinyasa. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Full inhalation, using your diaphragm. Clearing exhalation. Bring your feet to touch. Then inhale, raise your left leg behind you. As you exhale, bend your left knee and turn open at your hip. Inhaling, tack your right outer hip towards your rear wall. Exhaling, softly step your left foot forward outside of your left hand. Lower your right knee, untuck the toes, lizard lunge. Feel free to have your hands on blocks here as we prepare for movement. Front knees right over the heel, facing forward. As you breathe in, broaden your chest, slightly lift your sternum. As you breathe out, curl your left toes up, flexing the foot as you scissor your left outer hip back to straighten the leg, whatever degree, fold inside of it. Inhale, rebend your left knee. Exhale, straighten your left leg, lengthen your chest forward as you bow. Keep going, following your breath. And then return to your lunge, step your left foot inside of your left hand so that your legs are now your hips distance apart. Imagine dragging your left heel back without visibly moving it to create stability. Press your hands on the very top of your left thigh as you lift your frontal hip bones and lengthen your spine upright. Draw your shoulder head slightly behind your ears and down, coiling your chest up. Perhaps raise your arms and maybe seal your palms, looking up. Then lower your hands to frame your left leg. Grab your blocks. You might want to use them for Shiva squat. Lift your right knee, tuck the toes into a high lunge. Plant your hands or blocks 1 foot ahead of your left toes. Drag your right toes forward. Keep your left knee bent. And with your right leg straight, lift your right heel to the height of your 2 hips, which are evenly balanced. Lift your navel, look past the blocks or your hands, and find a long horizontal line from crown of your head to your inner right heel. Breathe in. Now as you exhale, bending both knees, cross your right knee behind your left as though you're about to sit to prepare for a seated squat. Don't actually sit, but inhale, Rise back to that horizontal line. Warrior 3. Exhale, cross the right knee behind the left, Shiva squat. 3 more cycles. Inhale, Warrior 3. Exhale, Shiva squat. Inhale, Warrior 3. Exhale, Shiva squat. Last time. Coming back to Warrior 3, walk your blocks back. Softly land your right foot at the rear of your mat, spinning the heel down. Warrior 2, align your left heel to the arch of your right foot and windmill your arms to rise up. Feel your left outer hip wrap slightly underneath your body. Stack your left knee right over your heel as you point knee and middle toe towards the front of your mat. Your right thigh bone back towards the left edge of your mat. And feel the balance of both arms, the weight of both feet, as you trace your breath and awareness up the center of your spine. Steady your eyes. Take a few more. Spreading your toes from down into the earth and straighten your left leg. Flip your left palm to face up and lift both sides of your torso before leaning towards the rear wall, reverse triangle pose. Softly land your right hand on your right leg. Breathe deeply into your left side body. And with an exhalation, lower your hands through plank into your vinyasa. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Breathe in, breathe out, slowing your breath down. Adding a twist in downward dog, separate your feet about the width of your mat, wider than hips distance. Keeping your feet parallel, walk them a few inches forward, closer to your hands, enough so you could lift your right hand off the ground and cross it to catch hold of your outer left calf or ankle. Rooting your right heel to the floor, try to keep your hips balanced, not rotating your pelvis while you rotate your rib cage. And softening your neck. Take a lion's breath. Deeply inhale into your belly and lungs. Open your eyes and mouth wide and stick out your tongue as you breathe out. Then set your right hand down. Cross your left hand to your outer right calf or ankle. Root your left heel to the earth. Keep your hips balanced and rotate your rib cage. Look under your right armpit towards the sky. Drop your skull. Lion's breath. Take a deep belly and lung breath in. Tongue out, eyes open wide, maybe crossed. Then walk your hands back towards your feet. Keep your feet this wide apart as we enter a squat of your choice. Now, if your knees are sensitive, you could step your feet outside of your mat. And as you turn out your legs from your hips and bend your knees, whatever squat, whether your pelvis is really close to the ground or you're high up like a horse stance, make sure that the center of your knee points in the same direction as the center toe under it, and that you're focusing on rotating from your hip socket, your knees and feet follow, not isolating the rotation at your knees or your ankles. And whatever squat that you're in, direct your tailbone towards the ground below it. Notice if there's a tendency to tilt the pelvis forward and the tailbone back. Engage your lower abdomen, lift your frontal hip bones. And let your spine become more vertical as you broaden your chest. Entering a twist, if you're high up in that horse stance, you could press your hands both onto your inner thighs and look over your right shoulder to twist. Otherwise, you could cross your left arm in front of your left leg, nudge your inner left thigh open, and twist to your right. Perhaps reaching the right arm up or wrapping it behind you, maybe even catching hold of the left fingers in a clasp or with a strap. Feel your spine lengthen as you inhale. Your rib cage rotate as you exhale for 2 more breaths. Unravel back to the center of your squat, relifting your spine upright and relaxing your shoulders down. Then start to twist to your left side. You're up high, pressing both hands onto your inner thighs. If you're down low, crossing the right arm inside of your right leg, perhaps raising your left arm, wrapping it behind you, or maybe adding a clasp, a bind to open your left shoulder. Let's take 3 more breaths. As you breathe out, start to unwind your spine. Come back to center, tall through your crown, take a deep breath. And exhale to slowly rise up to stand. All right, so grab your strap. If you feel any tightness in your hamstrings, or just to start with, we're gonna play with hand to big toe pose of balancing standing posture with a strap. So bring your feet together in mountain pose. Feel how you're using the support of the ground to press into with as much of the soles of your feet as you can, spreading your toes, activating energy in your legs, even your center. Now let's bring the right hand to the right hip, bend your left knee, flex your left foot. Take the strap, wrap the ball of your left foot, whether it's the loop or the middle of the strap, and as you keep your 2 shoulders stacked above your 2 hips, extend your left leg forward, feeling a push and pull with the strap. So you want that tension, those counter forces of kicking the leg forward and pulling the strap, as that helps to create that balance to spring up. Now turn out your left leg, rotate the thigh externally, and then slowly begin to open your left leg and your right arm to the side, just the degree that your spine can stay vertical. You're honoring the strong vertical center line of your body. How's your breath? Can you bring that full inhalation as we started with sitting down here, filling up your belly all the way to the tops of your lungs. And the exhalation balanced. Remember that your left leg doesn't have to be completely straight. It could be bent at the knee. Take a couple more breaths here in Utthita Hasta Parangushtasana, hand to big toe pose. Feel your center alive as you slowly bring your left leg forward. Holding the strap with your right hand, keep pushing, pulling, flexing the foot with the help of your left thumb, pressing the outer crease of your left hip down. Feel your right foot press down, both rooting forces to stand tall. Then at your waist, begin to turn your rib cage to the left. Maybe even reaching your left hand behind you, perhaps even looking towards your left hand. Get taller as you breathe in. Bring your weight off the ground, up to your crown. Twisting with a stable pelvis as you breathe out. 2 more breaths. This is revolved hand to big toe pose, or Parita Utthita Hasta Parangushtasana. Slowly look forward. Take the strap with both hands. Sit up tall and lift your chest. Breathe in, and then slowly step your left foot down. Release the strap. You give your right foot a little movement. And back to mountain pose. A moment to reset and feel the reference point of balance. As you bring your left hand to your left hip, draw your navel towards your spine and up. Bend your right knee and flex your right foot. Then step the ball of your right foot into the loop or middle of the strap. Like a tug of war, kick the right leg towards straight as you pull the strap, keeping your two shoulders stacked above your two hips, both balanced in height. With those counter force playing, as that helps to create that uplift of your spine. Breathing in, breathing out. Externally rotate your right thigh bone by turning out your right leg from the hip. Then begin to open your right leg and left arm slowly, only the degree that you have a vertical spine, a balanced pelvis, balanced shoulders. Feel the ground and press into it. Feel the rise of energy up. Deep breaths. Now, as you keep your belly engaged, slowly bring your right leg forward to center. Feel your two hips leveled as you switch hands holding the strap. Using your right thumb to hook the outer crease of your right hip down. Left foot down, lift up to your center line and exhale to twist to your right. Little by little, lift down or press down to lift up. Twisting. Maybe reach your right hand back. Maybe look towards your right hand. 3 more breaths here. Slowly turn your gaze forward. Hold the strap at 2 hands to feel that sort of tug of war as you keep the collar free. Slowly it's working right. Give your left foot some movement if you like. Into the center of your mat, you want to bring your blocks in front of you, preparing for Asana Padottanasana with the option for headstand. Step or jump your feet wide apart, parallel. Let's begin by opening the front of your shoulders, interlacing your hands behind your back, or holding it between your hands. As you inhale, roll your shoulders back, look up. You exhale, hinge from your hips, and lengthen your spine. Drifting a little away from your feet. Let your head completely drop as you reach your arms forward, away from your lower back. Now you can adjust the spacing between your feet. If you don't want your head to reach the ground, you can bring the feet closer together. If it's difficult to bow, you could bend your knees as well. Let's take a few breaths here, broadening your collarbones while lifting your shoulder bones up away from your neck, freeing your neck as you let your head be heavy. Perhaps even freeing your jaw of any tension it may have by fluttering your lips a couple times. Might feel good to shake and nod your head softly. Now lower your fingertips on your backs or the ground. Crawl your hands forward to lift your spine parallel to the floor and pause here in this half forward fold, engaging your belly as you would in plank. Engaging the front of your thighs as you keep your weight forward and continue to broaden your chest as if pressing the heart to the gates of your arms. Lengthen your neck, look ahead of your hands. Kind of like how we did when we were preparing for Shiva Squat in Warrior Two. Now from here, take the blocks with you if it helps you to reach completely down with your hands, and walk your hands back, keep your fingertips facing forward. Continue to create a flat back type of feeling. So if your back starts to round, you could bend the knees a little more, or you could fold less. Lift the shoulders away from your neck as you press down with your hands. Now, you could come into the depth of your forward fold, but if you're able to lower the very top of your head onto the floor and your hands are past your feet behind you so that you have an equilateral triangle, the three vertices, your crown and the heels of your palms, then you might be ready for tripod headstand, which I'll walk you through. Bending the elbows back, keep your arms parallel so the elbows are 90-degree bent, creating a shelf out of your upper arms. As your hands push the floor away, little weight is on your head and you're creating plenty of space in your neck. Now, if you have any neck injuries, don't go any further. Otherwise, start to engage your belly, lift your heels, and whether you place one knee at a time on top of your upper arms, or you think of tilting your pelvic bowl to empty itself upside down as you flex your feet, lifting your feet simultaneously, you're going to close your legs into a vertical line while flexing or pointing your feet. Imagine your ankles being pulled up towards your ceiling, your tailbone towards your inner ankles as you bring your feet together. Thinking of the strength and stability of mountain pose upside down. How's your breathing? Whatever way you're inverting, perhaps you've chosen to come into dolphin pose after a few breaths in wide-legged forward fold. Let's take 5 more breaths in your chosen inversion. Coming out of tripod headstand, you could splay the legs wide and flex your feet to re-tilt your pelvis upside down or right side up. Or you could place one knee at a time on your upper arms, then set your feet on the ground. Returning to a wide-legged fold. If you were in dolphin, just come into child's pose. We'll meet there eventually. In the wide-legged fold, come up halfway and pause for a few breaths, not lifting your head up too quickly. Then with knees bent, bring your hands to your hips and lead with your chest, inhaling to rise. Let's come down to our knees. And if you were in child's pose, meet us in all fours, hands and knees. Setting your wrists on the ground, just under your shoulders, like modified plank pose. Inhale, open your right thigh like a window out to the right. You might call this fire hydrant pose. And then exhale, close your right thigh into the left. Try that twice more. Inhale, open your right thigh. Keep your shoulders even. Exhale, close. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. And this time entering single pigeon pose. Now, if you prefer, you could lie on your back and cross your right ankle over your left thigh as you bend both knees in what we call thread the needle. Single pigeon, cross your right calf in front of your pelvis onto your mat and slide your left leg straight behind you, tucking the toes to start. With your hands alongside your hips, scissor your right hip back and your left hip forward. And if your right shin is able to parallel the front edge of your mat, make sure you flex your right foot to stabilize your right knee. You might even place something under your right glute, like a blanket, to help balance your hips. Now from here, you could choose to fold forward, relax your left toes. You could spiral the left arm under the right elbow into a spinal twist called the other thread the needle. Or you could add a heart opening king pigeon pose, which I'll walk you through if you want to follow me through that. For king pigeon, you'll want to scissor your legs towards each other energetically to help lift your pelvic floor and keep your hips facing forward. Draw the navel in and up. Then bending your left knee, back stroke your left arm to open the front of your shoulder and catch hold of the big toe side, the inside of your left ankle or foot. Kicking your left leg towards straight as you pull it with your left hand. Use the counter forces, as we've been playing with, to feel a lift up of your spine, supporting your right arm to rise. Now you're here, you're in it, king pigeon. You might add mermaid version, where you tuck the top of your left foot into the crook of your left elbow and clasp your hands overhead. Or taking hold of your left toes with both hands. Bend your elbows forward, no wider than shoulders width, and coil your chest up. Whatever hip opener, let's take 5 last breaths. So if you're lying on your back, stay on your back for side 2 and try circling your legs together and apart before switching sides. Otherwise, let's return to hands and knees or downward facing dog, and take a moment to move your right leg at the hip to encourage blood flow. Then from all fours, so if you're on your back, you'll actually need to get back to hands and knees because we did the sensation movement. You want to do it side. Open your left thigh out to the left, that fire hydrant pose or opening a window. And exhale, close the left thigh towards the right. Inhale, open the left thigh. Exhale, close. Last time, inhale, open. Exhale, close. All right, try side 2, the variation you did on the first. If you're upright, cross your left calf in front of your pelvis. Come to sit with your right leg straight back. Tuck your right toes as you place your hands alongside your hips, scissoring left hip back, right hip forward, maybe placing a prop under your left glute. If your left shin parallels the front edge of your mat, be sure to flex your left foot to stabilize your left knee. Whether you're folding forward, relaxing your right toes, or adding the other thread the needle, right arm under left elbow, or coming into king pigeon, which is called Eka Rajakapotasana, you could bend your right knee, backstroke your right arm, catch the inside, big toe side of right ankle or foot, kick your right leg towards straight as you pull it with your hand, while lifting your pelvic floor, raising your left arm. You're going toward mermaid, so-called version. You could hook the top of your right foot against the inner crease of your right elbow, clasp your fingers overhead. Going towards moving your right toes with both hands. Sometimes one side is able to, one side is not. Today. Take about 5 more deep breaths. Very So if you're on your back, you might make your way into supine frog or happy baby pose, or have some movement again at the hips. Otherwise, please ease your way back to either downward dog or hands and knees, or you could move your left leg at the hip. Really cool to sit facing the wide width of your mat. Prepare for a modified Upavishta Konasana. Straddle your legs wide apart, and if doing so begins to round your back, try elevating your pelvis on a folded blanket or block. Now flexing your feet, keep your knees pointing towards the sky as you don't want to turn forward. And then ground your 2 sitting bones. Bring your hands in front of you, perhaps put a block in front of your pelvis. Keep your frontal hip bones lifted, not spilling your pelvis forward. And then stay right here. This is plenty, or you could start to walk your hands forward. Perhaps take a second block and create a tower to rest your forehead on. And try to maintain a spacious, sort of flat back type of spine rather than rounding the shoulders. Your throat is open. And we'll be here for about 5 to 10 more breaths. As you're ready, press the ground away, lead with your chest, and slowly lift your spine upright. Coming to sit at the middle of your mat, let's prepare for a restorative pose in which we'll enter Shavasana in a supported, heart-opening Supta Baddha Konasana. You're using your 2 blocks. Place 1 block at the rear edge of your mat for your head. It could be on the tallest height if you're feeling some restriction in the fronts of the shoulders, but if you're feeling pretty open, try the medium or lowest height, which you could change once you're lying down. Second block, medium height. You decide. Either trace the midline of your mat with it or cross your mat with it, spacing the blocks further apart. When you lie back, you can see which one feels like it's creating the best opening for you right now in your chest. Keep your pelvis completely on the floor. Splay your bent knees apart. Bring the soles of your feet together. If your thighs are lifting uncomfortably from the ground, place something on under each outer thigh, even on both sides to support them. Lying back, let the closer block trace the area just beneath your shoulder blades. Your skull on the second block. And then make any adjustments here so that your 2 shoulders can feel ease to just fall down into the space behind. As you turn your palms to face up, feel the even weight of both left and right hips. Allow your head to be completely supported. And then closing your eyes, let's take 2 more of those deep breaths like we did at the start. Slowly inhale into your belly all the way up to your lungs. Find a pause at the top of the breath before you decide to empty it completely to your mouth, and feel a pause at the bottom of your breath. Try that once more before letting go of controlling your breath altogether. remain in Shavasana another minute, consider joining our last 5 minutes, optionally sitting in meditation. I'll be turning the music off so that we can be in pure silence. But if sounds start to happen in your own environment, can you allow them to be part of your meditation? That you're fine-tuning your ability to focus on one simple thing. Perhaps it's your breath naturally flowing in and out, or something more subtle if you feel the pulsation of your heart, or the energy of gratitude or love, a quality you want to expand. You lie here if you're going to join meditation. I invite you to choose one thing that you're going to focus on and let that be your anchor to stay present. You are going to sit, please take your time, moving your body, easing out of this position to come upright. Sitting in a way that you're comfortable and alert. I'm going to set the timer now for 5 minutes as we allow our minds to simplify its focus and invite that delta silence. your senses to awaken to touch, smell. As you return into this time and place, joining your palms together at your heart. In what ways can we be patient with ourselves, be loving with ourselves, as we perhaps continue self-study, being aware of our habits, and beginning to plant new seeds if they're needed. Let's close with one Om. Take a deep breath. The light in me bows to light in you. Namaste. So I do want to make an announcement. Check your emails. I sent a newsletter for some holiday preparations. And coming up in December online, I've taken apart our one-day virtual retreat that happened in October and divide it into 3 days of 1-hour workshop sessions that will be a little bit of yoga postures, but more time in meditation and conversation and journaling, where we go beyond the physical practice a bit more and really apply